questions.
Close-ended questions.
Or, yeah, close-ended questions.
So we'll just let you guys pause the video, respond, and then we'd love to see what you say to that one.
All right, and so the next,
the answer to this question is yes, you should still use close-ended questions.
So when to use open-ended questions to discover students? Close-ended questions, man. My bad. You should use them to discover students' knowledge, to get specific needed information, to remind children of established procedures, and to confirm agreement. And some examples of close-ended questions. Are you ready to begin? Who brought snack today? And what year was the Declaration of Independence signed? These just have one answer, just to the point, really thought process to it.
So, asking effective open-ended questions. We're going to go over them in more detail, but the main things you should keep in mind, especially when you're first beginning to look into open-ended questions and trying to incorporate them into your classroom, make sure you are genuinely opening up your curiosity. Make sure you're listening to all answers. You're wanting all answers as possible. And then to clarify exactly what you're asking for, set those boundaries. And then use words that encourage cooperation, not competition. And then watch out for pseudo open-ended questions.
And the next one is generally open up your curiosity. If your students don't think you're generally curious about whatever reasoning or ideas that they might have, they might not feel free to think creatively. And being truly curious about your students' responses means that you value their thinking process, focusing on how students arrive at their answers as the answers themselves. Being genuinely curious can tell you as a teacher what your students are interested in, and such as like their ideas or their thought process again, or this allows children then to trust you as a teacher and make them see that you really want to know what they're thinking about. And the next one is clarify exactly what you're asking for. Articulate the boundaries for answers you are accepting from students. Kind of for an example, like if you're talking about a globe, like it came from our reading, you could ask them, okay, can you tell me what's on the globe? And then maybe they could be just listing off colors or the different continents or countries. But then you can always refer back to it or like ask a question again. You could ask like, how could you use the globe to discover facts about continents? And just being able to kind of get a precise question out of it by changing your open-ended question.
Okay. Using words that encourage cooperation, not competition. There's always a time for competition. However, sometimes in the classroom, you need to be aware, you need to be fluid and understand that you shouldn't use competition in everything because not a lot of students enjoy it the same. So in order to do this, you need to keep discussion from turning into a competition. This means phrasing your questions really carefully. So the example below is, who knows a good way to use the clay? Instead, you should try, what are some different ways we might use clay? This invites multiple responses and allows students to believe like everyone can participate. So questions that foster competition generally begin with who, for example, who has a better idea. This is a natural way to talk, but students will assume some answers are better than others, and they encourage students to compete rather than collaborate. That's what you want to stay away from. And then watching out for pseudo open-ended questions. I didn't even know what pseudo meant, but it's one that sounds like an open question, but behind it the teacher desires a certain answer. So they're asking an open-ended question, but it's really closed because they're looking for a certain answer and they're going to make students feel like they're wrong, basically, and that's like the complete opposite of open-ended questions. So just make sure your intentions are right, especially when you're asking open-ended questions. Like it says, make sure your open-ended question is truly intended to be an open-ended question. So if you're looking for a certain answer and begin with an open-ended question, the conversation will shift to a closed-ended one, and this usually results with poor results. If a teacher persists for a wishful answer, this makes students less enthusiastic because students have realized that their teacher is looking for a certain answer and they're unsure what it is, so people are going to start participating, like I said, and then rather than being wrong, they just stop. They don't want to participate, and that's the opposite effect of what we're trying for with these open-ended questions.
And then just some extra tips when asking open-ended questions. Just use words such as might, may, could, or possibly. This establishes a greater sense of safety for your students. These words give students a way to brainstorm and not think that there's one right answer. Use words such as some people and some kids. If children see the answer as hypothetical, not necessarily reflecting their own views or experience, they may feel safer sharing their ideas. Encourage multiple responses. This kind of goes along embedded words such as how many, different, and other in the question. Refer to concrete examples. It is helpful to have students think of something specific that you might be asking a question about. Choose words that cue thinking processes. Children have easier time responding to open-ended questions when we name thinking processes, when we name the thinking process that they'll need to use to answer the question. This helps clarify our expectations, like examples of let's brainstorm, how might you compare, make some educated guesses, how could you evaluate this, suggest a persuasive argument, and describe one way, and so on.
Okay, and so wait time adds to the power of open-ended questions. So this is the famous pause. Make sure you're giving students time to respond. So pausing a few seconds before accepting student responses gives all students a chance to think about the question before the discussion takes off. So this really pertains to your students who might not develop answers as fast as others. Those ones who struggle with participating, this pause can be a world of change for them. They're given this time to think along with the rest of their peers. There's no rush to answering like there normally is. So if you're wanting that classroom participation, it's key to include the pause. It allows students to tend to be slower at forming answers to have a greater chance of being heard. Okay. And then our formative assessment. Go for it.
We just wanted to ask a couple questions. I'll do the first one here. Which of these questions would not fit as an open-ended question? You can just look right here, and they just have a few answers that we want to see what you guys, based on what you know now.
And you could do this from your phone or laptop, but phone's pretty easy. You're just going to text the number 22333, and then text AlexCole073 to that number, and then you'll get a text back, and then you can respond with A, B, C, or D. Can't wait to see what you guys answer. And then our second one, you guys can pause the video if you need to, but our second one is, after learning what makes a good open-ended question, create your own. So you can still respond to the same text thread. Just let us know what you think. Let you guys know. Okay. Well, thanks for listening. Hope you guys are all staying safe.
Thank you.